Hey guys, TheInevitableSaiyan here, doing my Every Card is a Story segment, episode 20 or 21, something like that. But the card for this week that I have a story behind is Ultimate Rare Goyo Guardian, or just kind of Goyo Guardian in general, I guess. This card is very significant to me because it reminds me of two of my very close Yu-Gi tubing friends that I met early on in the days, and at the same time, these are also two of the people that were like my closest friends that now don't even Yu-Gi-Tube anymore. So this card is a link between those two. Very interesting story. Basically, these two people that I'm talking about are Scuba Diver Ninja and Yu-Gi-Oh! Phoenix 15, or Yu-Gi-Oh! Phoenix 15 is also known as Team Old School 21. Basically, the story behind these guys and why they related to this card is because I met Scuba Diver Ninja. His name is Tyler Rodriguez. I think right before I met Dan, who was Yu-Gi-Oh! Phoenix 15. And Tyler Rodriguez, I always called him Sherry Rodriguez because I met him. The only place I talked to him really, aside from like occasional messaging on YouTube, was Skype, and he used his mom's Skypes, and his mom's name was Sherry Rodriguez, so we always called him Sherry because that was his name on Skype. So anyway, his name is Tyler, and it's a boy, but I'm just gonna call him Sherry because that's what I always refer to him as. Sherry Rodriguez was just such a cool guy, and he really got like into the game really fast. Like, he didn't have hardly anything when he messaged me the first time on YouTube, and after he messaged me and talked, and for about like 2 months, all of a sudden he had this like amazing trade binder that he went to at his locals and everything. And this was at the time when Goyo Guardian was just got banned. Like, when I met Sherry, this would have been like what, like $80-$90 or something like that. And then when I like a week after I talked to him, that was when it got banned because the September ban list came out, and then it dropped down to like whatever it was called. I think it was still like a good $30 card at the time. Maybe not, but yeah. So he had this Ultimate Goyo Guardian. He was like, "Hey Trent, do you collect Goyo?" I was like, "No, I don't even collect synchros," because at the time I still didn't like synchros at the time. And he was like, "Oh, well, do you have Goyo Guardian?" He's like, "Well, it's a really good card. I could give it to you for like $20, which at the time it was like $35. I was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm really not interested in it." And I remember he also talked to Yugi Nico, who had a big problem with Robert Harris, if you guys remember that, Sharingan 042. But anyway, Sherry Rodriguez was in a Skype call with Yugi Nico with me, and he was trying to get Nico to buy this Goyo Guardian. Nico's like, sorry, I don't have the cash for it right now. So I distinctly remember Sherry trying to get rid of this card because he got it for like a really good deal, and he could never get rid of it, and then he eventually got rid of it someplace as locals. But I remember this because this is the card that I associate with him when I think of Goyo Guardian. I think of like, I remember Sherry trying to get rid of that like just all the time. Now I also remember Dan, Yu-Gi-Oh! Phoenix 15, having this card, and no, I remember Dan was trying to get this card, and he was like, "Hey Trent, do you have any idea where I could get a Goyo Guardian?" I was like, "Oh wait, yeah, that's right. There's Sherry. Sherry's trying to get rid of it," and I actually set up a Skype call with Dan and Sherry, and Dan didn't have like hardly anything to trade. He just had like, a bunch of like old crap. Honestly, it was like not much. He had like a Stardust and a Thought Ruler, but that was about it. Everything else was just kind of crap. And Sherry was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't really see anything." So Dan tried to set up a trade with a bunch of electronics because Dan was really into games and electronics, which really showed now because after like months later he stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and now he's just he's a gamer like on YouTube. He trades and sells and buys video games, like old vintage video games from like the 80s and 90s and stuff. He doesn't really do that anymore now. Now he quit YouTube altogether. But he did that for about a year. So he was trying to set up a trade with Sherry for this Goyo Guardian and some other stuff that Sherry had for an electronics deal, to where he would give Sherry like an iPod, like some old iPod that he could use, because Sherry was looking for an iPod conveniently. So Dan was trying to get some Yu-Gi-Oh cards for the old electronics that he had, and Sherry was trying to get an iPod for the Yu-Gi-Oh cards that he had. So in theory, it was a pretty solid plan. They really should have worked out a deal. But something happened to where like Sherry's mom would not let him trade for she wouldn't let him trade the Goyo online because it was such an expensive card. Like, she would only let him trade like $5-$10 cards online or something like that. But since this was like a $40 card, and he was trading it for like electronics. She was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. Because she mailed all his stuff out. So, and then Dan got like really mad because the whole like talking about the trade lasted for like 3 days, and Dan had to like verify everything with his mom too. Like, oh yeah, you need to ship out this this iPod so that I can get some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And his mom didn't really care, but then he was really mad because he had to go through even just like the awkwardness of asking his mom for it and all this other random stuff that happened to where. They just got really mad at each other and they stopped talking to each other and just this big thing. So I remember Goyo Guardian, just like this card just really like reminds me of those two because they were one of my oldest, closest friends that no longer I don't really talk to them anymore because they don't really do anything online with Yu-Gi-Oh or anything anymore. I haven't talked to Sherry in like a year, and I haven't talked to Dan. I talked to Dan very, very occasionally, very, very briefly on Skype every now and then. I'll just be like, hey, what's up? Nothing much. How's school? Good. You? Good. And that's it. And that's like our conversation for like 3 months. And then we do that again like every 3 months or something like that. So I ended up getting this card by just a random trader like about a year after all this happened, just to remind myself. I was like, oh yeah, Goyo, I gotta get that. That reminds me of Dan and Sherry. So that's the story behind Goyo Guardian. Just really reminds me of my close Yu-Gi tubing friends. Make sure you guys give this video a like, comment your opinions below. Stay tuned for the next episode, and thanks for watching.